فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونِي. So fear Allah and obey me. Again, Nuh alayhi salam is saying the same thing. He's repeating it again because this was the essence of his teachings. And this was the essence of the teachings of who? Of all of the messengers. That have fear of Allah and obey the messengers. Now this was what Nuh alayhi salam said to the people. What was their response? Their response was, قَالُوا, they said, أَنُؤْمِنُ لَكَ? Shall we listen to you? وَاتَّبَعَكَ الْأَرْذَلُونَ, while you are followed by the lowest class of the people. أَنُؤْمِنُ لَكَ. نُؤْمِنُ, آمَنَ, iman. What does iman mean? To believe. And when the word iman is followed by lam, like نُؤْمِنُ لَكَ, then what does it mean? To listen to someone. To accept what they're saying. To obey them. So shall we obey you? Shall we just accept what you're telling us to do? Shall we just follow your command? That you're telling us to fear Allah and obey you? So shall we just listen to you? While the fact is that وَاتَّبَعَكَ الْأَرْذَلُونَ, while the lowest class of people are actually your followers. Al-Arzalun is a plural of Arudhal. From the root letters, Ra, Dhal, Lam. And Radhil is someone who is very lowly, someone who does not have any worth, someone who is despicable. So Arudhal, most despicable, the lowest of the people. Someone who does not have any rank, any position, any value in the sight of people. So for example, in worldly terms, Arzalun would be who? Someone who is of the lowest class. In many societies, and even today, people have this class system. In many ways, people have made this class system. In certain societies, it's according to your race. In other societies, it's according to your income. If you make this much figure salary, then you belong to this class of people. If you make more than that, then you belong to this class of people. Then in other societies, it's according to profession. It's according to the area that you live in. It's according to the family that you belong to. So Ardhalun are who? The lowest of the people. They have the lowest income. They live in the most contemptible places. Their social circle is of the lowest class. So, وَاتَّبَعَكَ الْأَرْذَلُونَ, the poor people, the incompetent people, the weak ones, they're the ones who follow you. So what was the response of the people? That how can we believe in you while your followers are the most inferior of us? They're the most inferior of us. If you look at it, what was the messenger telling them? وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونِي. Fear Allah and obey me. And what is the response of the people? Look at your followers. What was he telling them? And what are they saying in response? He is calling them to obeying Allah. And they are saying, your followers are not good. We don't like your followers. Why? Because people who have the love of dunya in their hearts, people who want to make more and more dunya, then what happens? They consider deen, they view deen from a worldly point of view as well. How? That they think that if we believe, what worldly benefit are we going to get? If we learn this, then what worldly benefit are we going to get? If I go and work here for the deen, then how much worldly benefit am I going to get? Who are going to be my friends? Who are going to be my contacts? Who will be my supporters? This is what such people think about. Whereas on the other hand, a person who has the love of the deen in his heart, then what happens? His goal is only to serve the deen. He does not care about the wealth of the people. He does not care about the status of the people. He does not care about which kind of people come, from which background, from which race, from which culture, from which ethnicity. No. He is there for the deen. That is his focus. That is his goal. So he will only come for that. But people who come for dunya, what happens? They analyze the deen from a worldly perspective as well. So these people, they said to Nuh alayhi salam, we cannot follow you because your followers are who? They're ardalun. And if we sit with them, it's going to lower our status. If we befriend them, it's going to lower our status. So, in order to keep our high status, too bad, we cannot believe in you, we cannot accept you, we cannot listen to you. If you look at it, previously Musa a.s., when he spoke to Fir'aun, instead of focusing on the message, what did he do? He started distracting others. Ibrahim a.s. as well, when he was telling the people started getting distracted by other things. Over here also, Nuh a.s. is telling them one thing and the people are responding in a completely different way. So Nuh a.s., what does he do? What is his response? Qala, he said, وَمَا عِلْمِي, and what is my knowledge? بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, of what they used to do. What does it mean by that? بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ has been understood in a number of ways. That first of all, the people whom you consider to be أرذلون, بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, what is it that they do? Meaning, مَا عِلْمِي, I do not have knowledge of. I'm not concerned about knowing what these people do. I'm not concerned about finding out how these people make money, what kind of works these people do. I have not been sent to check the worldly status of people. I have not been sent to do a background check on the people. My message is for all. So وَمَا عِلْمِي بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, whatever worldly professions these people have, I have no concern with that. Whether it is of a lower class or an upper class, I have no concern with that. وَمَا عِلْمِي بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Secondly, that what do I know? Meaning, I'm not concerned about بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, of their motives. My job is not to check the motives of the people as to why they're coming to me. That you think they're coming because they're arzaloon, and they're coming so that they can make more dunya. They're coming to get some worldly benefits. I have no idea as to why these people are coming. I am to judge people on their surface. I am to deal with them on the apparent. So, Nuh a.s., he tells the people, he responds to them, that I do not know of the worldly professions of these people. I am not concerned about their status. I am not concerned about their positions, their occupations. I don't know much about them. Because my job is to convey the message to the people. My job is not to check who does what, how much money do they make, which house they live in, what family they belong to. No. My job is to simply convey the message. What lesson does this teach us? That when a person is calling people to Allah, then his message should be for who? For all people. He should not be selective. That no, I only talk to these kind of people. I only address the educated class. Or I'm only concerned about the poor people. I only talk to this race. I only talk to people from this country. And people from that country, I don't care about them. My message is not for them. I'm not concerned about them. No. The da'i is someone whose message is for who? For all people. No matter what worldly class they belong to, no matter what race they belong to, no matter what worldly profession they have, it's for all people. And when a person is conveying the message of Allah, he should not be focusing on the status of the people, the occupation of the people. That yes, so many rich people come over here, or so many educated people come over here. No, this should not be the concern. The concern should be that ye should deliver the message of Allah to the people. That should be the focus. Just as we learned earlier that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at the outer state of the person, but what? The inner state of the person. Similarly, we are not to judge people in the sense that just because they have a particular occupation or just because they work in a particular place, we will give them more importance. And if they are not of that type, we will give them less importance. No. The message is for everybody. It is for every person. And anyone who comes to learn the knowledge of the deen, it is our responsibility that we must teach them. We must convey to them without any bias. Because unfortunately, no matter how much we claim to be sometimes free of any biases, we have many biases amongst us. That just because a person is from a particular race, just because a person is not from that country, or he has not had this kind of education, what happens? We tend to undermine people, we tend to belittle them, we tend to not hold them in high respect. And if a person is very bad in his akhlaq, but just because he's very rich, by the way that he's dressed up, we give them so much importance. Or just because a person, has studied from a particular school, we give them so much importance. So, ultimately, the da'i should remember that my message is for everybody. I should not be focusing on the pockets of people, on the appearances of people. I should be focusing on what? Delivering the message. So, وَمَا عِلْمِي بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. I'm not concerned with what these people do otherwise. إِنْ حِسَابُهُمْ, their account, إِلَّا عَلَى رَبِّي لَوْ تَشْعُرُونَ, is only upon my Lord if you could perceive. In حِسَابُهُمْ, the hisab of these people. Of whose? The people who come to me, whom you consider to be أرذلون. Their account, the judgment of their real merit, is upon who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you consider them to be أرذلون. But what is their real status? What is their actual position? Allah knows about that. You consider them to be very low and despicable. But Allahu A'lam, they may be better than you. Or you say that they're coming over here to make more money. They're coming over here to become equal to you. Allah knows about their real motives. Allah knows about their real intentions. In hisabuhum illa ala rabbi, and He will recompense them accordingly. Law tash'urun, if only you would perceive, if only you knew that Allah is the one who knows the batin of people. That Allah is the one who will recompense the people. Allah is the one who knows the actual position and status of the people. Normally what happens? People who look down upon others, they consider themselves to be very smart. That we are so intelligent, we are so superior, we are so good looking, we are so educated, we are so wealthy. And they consider themselves to be very smart. But what do we learn over here? That if a person goes on judging people like this, then he's not actually using his mind. لَوْ تَشْعُرُونَ. If you had shu'ur, if you used some reason, if you used your eyes and mind, then you would understand that the real status of people is only known to who? To my Lord. وَمَا أَنَا, and I am not بِطَارِدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, at all one who drives away the believers. طارد. طارد from the root letters? Ta, ra, dal. Tard. And tard is to throw something far away out of thinking it to be despicable, out of thinking it to be unimportant. You don't give it any value, you don't assign it any importance, so what do? You just discard it, you throw it away. So, the people, they requested Nuh alayhi salam that you ask these أرذلون to go away. And when you ask them to go away, then we will come and listen to you. This is just like how the people of Makkah, what did they ask the Prophet ﷺ to do? To send Bilal away. To send all of those people who had believed in him, who were of a lower social status, they asked that they should go away, and only then they will come and listen to the Prophet ﷺ. But what did Nuh alayhi salam say to them? وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. I am never ever going to drive away these believers. From where? From my majlis, from my gathering, or from my sight, distancing myself from them. I'm never going to distance myself from them. Why? Because ultimately who are they? They're believers. And if you think them to be despicable, who are they? They're believers. And inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. In ana, I am not illa nadhirun mubin, except a clear warner. My duty is only to convey, and I am clearly a warner. I am not a judge. I'm not here to analyze the social status of people. I'm not here to treat them differently based on their social class. No. To get to the point, who am I? Nadhirun mubin. I am a clear warner towards all people. People of upper class, people of lower class, people who are wealthy, people who are not wealthy, people who are educated, people who are not educated. No matter who they are, my warning is for all people. I have been sent as a warner. And whoever believes me, obeys me, and follows me. So these people, they have believed in me, they follow me, therefore I'm never going to distance myself away from them. So what do we learn in these ayat? That the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is for who? It is for all people. Every single person, regardless of his age. Because sometimes we don't let people benefit because of their age. We say they're too old, or we say they're too young. But regardless of the age of the person, regardless of the gender of the person, because sometimes, what are people told? This is not for women, this is only for men. Women cannot understand. Regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of background. Because sometimes we think only if a person is educated enough, then only he will learn. And if a person is not educated enough, he will not be able to benefit at all. But sometimes you see people who are not as educated, their understanding is far better than the understanding of those who are maybe highly educated. You will sometimes see their amal changing more. You see them more fearful of Allah. You see them having memorized more of the Qur'an. You see them being able to relate with their lives more of the Qur'an. So regardless of the age, regardless of the gender, regardless of the background, regardless of the race of the person, the social status of the person, the deen of Allah is for who? It's for every single person. Every human being. Every individual. And the fact is that there is no class system in our religion. There is no social hierarchy. All people are equal in the sight of Allah. And a person will have a higher rank in the sight of Allah based on what? Based on his taqwa. Not based on his worldly status. Not based on the number of his children. Not based on the number of his degrees. No, it's based on what? His taqwa. How much he fears Allah and how much is it that he follows the religion. And we see that because of this noble characteristic of our religion, that this religion is for all people. What do we see? That people from various backgrounds, they are the ones who accept this religion. Especially people from the lower class, they accept, they follow. Why? Because they are not discriminated. They come willingly because they are not discriminated. We see that in Makkah also. Which people were amongst the first ones to become Muslim? It was those who were of a lower class. It was the women. It was the weak. It was the slaves. Why? Because for the first time ever, they were not being discriminated. And this is a very, very noble quality of this religion of ours. I remember there was this friend of mine, her father, he had a huge business, mashallah, very wealthy people. And they had several servants in their house, male servants as well. And I remember many, many times that I would go to see her, I would find that he would be praying along with his servants. Because there were like at least 6 or 7 men who would work in his house as drivers or as whoever. And sometimes he would be leading the salah and sometimes another one of them would be leading. And it was amazing that someone of such a high social class is praying right next to someone who is working for him. And it was amazing. So when does this come into a person? When he has truly accepted the deen. When he has truly realized that he is a servant of Allah. When he has truly realized that all people are equal in the sight of Allah. The only thing that makes me better is my taqwa. There are many people who have done great things for the deen, but if you look at their worldly education, it's not that much. They've only perhaps done primary school or middle school or something like that. My grandmother, she was telling me yesterday about my grandfather. He was also a great scholar of his time. And she was saying about how he went to only primary school. He studied only about up to grade 6 or something like that. And beyond that, he could not study because every time he would go to school, he would fall sick. He would go to school, he would fall sick, he would come back home, he'd be perfectly fine. He would go to school again, he would fall sick, come back home perfectly fine. So he stopped going to school. And then he would just be at home helping out his father. And one day his father said, you know what, make use of your life, go do something. So he left. He left his house and it was a very, very long time ago and he walked all alone by himself. He walked from one village to the other village until finally he reached a school where he learned hadith. And he learned hadith. In 1 year, he read all 6 books. All 6 books in 1 year. At the beginning of the year, there were many, many students. And by the end, there were only 3. And he is the one, when he took his exams, he got 51 out of 50. So everybody asked, how did you get 51 on 50? So the teacher, he said that whatever he wrote was perfect, but his writing was so beautiful that I could not but give him an extra mark. If I did not give him an extra mark, it would be unfair. And I was thinking about it that if you think about it, he only did a little bit of worldly education. A little bit of worldly education. But Allah gave him the tawfiq and he managed to study all the 6 books of hadith in 1 year. And he would not be able to go back home every now and then, because every time you would have to go, you would have to travel alone. Obviously, who would come with you? There were no buses and no trains at that time that would come and go all of the time. It was very, very difficult to travel back and forth. And then after he completed his studies, he went back home and he started teaching the children of the area the Qur'an. And one night, one of the boys that he knew of, he became extremely ill. He got pneumonia, and the next morning he passed away. So he realized that I have spent so many years studying the religion, and when a person becomes sick, I cannot help him. That I could not save his life because I have no idea about medicine. So he went and studied medicine then. And he found a teacher of medicine somewhere in another part of the country, and he went and studied medicine over there for 3 years. And then his teacher passed away during that time. And then because the family of the teacher, they were very dependent on their father, he did not leave them. So he stayed over there, he served them for 1 year, and then he left, he found another teacher, and then he completed his study of medicine. And then he was not only, somebody who taught religion to people, but also helped them with regards to their health. And constantly I was thinking back to myself that how much worldly education did he have? Not much. But what did he have? This inner drive to help people. This desire to help people. That they should learn the deen and they should be healthy and good people. This motivated him to study medicine as well. So, unfortunately, many times we tend to disregard people just because they don't have as much worldly education as much as we want them to have. But we see that, yes, that is important. Wealth is important. But what is more important is the inner drive. Just like Musa a.s. He was not that fluent in his speech. He had been working as a shepherd for the past 10 years. But still Allah selected him. Still He chose him. Because what did he have? The inner drive. Over here we see that Nuh a.s. he says, وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, I am not going to drive away the believers. That these people, they come to me to learn. These people, they come to my gathering to study, to learn. I cannot push them away. I'm not going to be the one who sends them away. So, the responsibility of the da'i is that when people do come to learn, no matter who they are, he should not be a means of driving them away. Like for example, it's possible that a non-Muslim comes to, let's say, a lecture or a conference or to a class or something like that. But with our behavior, we treat them in such a cold manner, or we tend to ignore them sometimes, that they feel as if they are being rejected constantly. Or if somebody walks in without the appropriate dress, or if somebody walks in without a uniform, sometimes what happens in our behavior? We tend to be very cold towards them. So this is a means of pushing people away. So look at Nuh a.s. that no matter what you say to me, وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, because إِنْ أَنَا إِلَّا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. My responsibility is to warn the people. So it teaches a very, very important lesson that when anyone comes to learn the deen, when anyone comes to find out about the deen, our behavior should not be such that we repel people, that we turn people away from the religion. We should try our best to accommodate them. We should try our best to treat them nicely so that they are not repulsed. Sometimes what happens? The way people are dressed, the way people are behaving at the beginning, we think, no way, they can never fit over here, they can never survive over here, send them back. Don't let them come. But the fact is that every person needs time. And you will notice that at the beginning sometimes people are very, very different. But as time goes by, they begin to understand. And automatically they begin to change. So if at the beginning we become so harsh with them when we say, you don't belong here, then what's going to happen? People are going to go away. Who's going to suffer? They're going to suffer. Who's going to suffer the loss as well? You are going to suffer because you had the opportunity to benefit someone and you lost that opportunity. So with our behavior, with our words, in the manner that we deal with others, we should be very, very careful that people are not repulsed from the religion. People are not turned away from the religion. And also we see that sometimes if a person walks in who may speak a different language, who may be from a different country, who may be of a particular race. For some reason or the other, we consider them to be inferior. And because of that, they feel they're not welcome. They feel that they do not belong to that place. And as a result, they get very turned off. They don't want to go there anymore. So we have to be very, very careful. Sometimes we only tend to greet those people who appear to be very wealthy. And somebody who's in a simple dress, we don't give them that much importance. Whereas we see that the way of the Prophet ﷺ was what? That he would greet the children, he would greet the elderly, he would greet everyone. Similarly, what happens? People walk in, they do not know something, and we become so strict with them. Don't you know you're not supposed to pray in this way? You're supposed to pray in that way. Because sometimes when we've learned about something, then we start imposing things on people. Don't you know, sister, you should be wearing socks right now? And don't you know that your abaya should be long, and you have too much glitter on your abaya, and your hijab is too small? Our behavior should not be like that. Our behavior should be welcoming. That treat them so good that they want to learn. And when they will learn, their actions will change automatically. Show them with your behavior. Welcome them so that they want to do what you're doing as well. And if you become crude and rough in your behavior, then what are people going to think? I don't want to become like this person. I'm never going to do what this person is doing. I'm never going to wear what she's wearing. Just because of you, they might be stopped from something good. Sometimes what happens, people come in and they may have certain weaknesses, they may have certain needs, and if we do not take care of those needs, if we don't help them accordingly, then they're going to feel discouraged. And they're going to eventually give up. So our concern should be that everyone should be able to learn this religion. This should be our desire. Every person whom we come across should be able to learn something. And if that becomes your desire, then Allah will show you, Allah will teach you as to how to help them. But if your goal is just your comfort and your own convenience and your own standards, then you will not be able to help people. So this is something very, very important. We see that in the Quran, we learn in Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 28, the Prophet ﷺ was told, وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. Keep yourself in the company of those people who remember Allah in the morning and the evening, regardless of their worldly status. Regardless of how people consider them to be, you have to give them importance. You have to keep yourself in their company so that they can benefit and you can benefit. In Surah Al-An'am, ayah 52, we learn, وَلَا تَطُرِدِ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. And do not send away those people who call upon their Lord morning and afternoon seeking His countenance. Do not turn them away. So, what do we learn so far about the incident of the people of Nuh alayhi salam? That Nuh alayhi salam, he invited them in very clear terms, but what was the reaction of the people? They did not want to accept because they did not want to lose their worldly status. Sometimes we have this bias against people that because they're dressed up in a particular way, they have no khair in them, they're never going to listen. I remember my mom's teacher, when he came to visit us once, we were all sitting in one place and this lady came and she wasn't dressed appropriately at all. So she just came to greet him because she thought, oh, this is Ustaz's teacher, so let me just go and say salam. And she just came as a visitor. And she just came, walked in, and no hijab, dressed not appropriately at all. And she just went and greeted him. And what was his response? He spoke only Arabic. And he knew only a little bit of English. And he said, wa alaikum assalam, how are you? And he had a conversation with her, just a little bit in English. And she felt so comfortable that she just sat down a little bit at a distance in order to just listen to what he was saying. And I was thinking, when we come across such people, we give them the eyes, we give them the look, and we show them, you're not dressed properly, and I don't want to see you, you don't belong here. And we don't know which reaction of ours might have a good effect on someone. Be welcoming. Be accepting. Lower your gaze, but talk to them properly. Talk to them properly, you never know, they might be able to benefit. So what did the people of Nuh alayhi salam say to Nuh alayhi salam? قالوا, they said, لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ يَا نُوحْ, O Nuh, if you do not stop right here, لَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُرْجُومِينَ, then surely you will be among those who are stoned. Marjumin, plural of marjum, from the root letters ra, jim, mim, rajm. And rajm is to stone someone to death. And marjum is also someone who is cursed, someone who is criticized. So rajm is both by stones as well as by words. If you don't stop, we're going to kill you, or you're going to hear it from us. This is very similar to what the father of Ibrahim a.s. said to him. لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ. And this is very similar to what Fir'aun said to Musa a.s. What did he say? That if you don't stop, you will be masjuneen, of those who are imprisoned. So what happened? Nuh a.s. then he turned to Allah and he prayed. قَالَ, he said, رَبِّي, O my Lord, إِنَّ قَوْمِي كَذَّبُونِ. Indeed, my people have denied me. They're not going to listen to me anymore. When did he say that? After a very long time. And what did he do when he faced the denial of people? He turned to Allah. And this is the character of the messenger. When people threaten him, he does not threaten back. When people speak evil, he does not speak evil in return. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا اللَّغْوَ أَعْرَضُوا عَنْهُ. When people annoy him, when they harm him, he does not fight back. Who does he turn to? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he prayed to Allah that فَافْتَحْ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَهُمْ فَتْحًا. Then judge between me and them with decisive judgment. فَافْتَحْ فَاتَحَ. Fath literally means to open something. And from that the word fath is also used for victory. Why? Because when there is victory, then the gates are opened up for you. And fath is also used for a decision. What kind of a decision? Such a decision that clarifies between right and wrong, which does not leave either of the groups in doubt. So فَافْتَحْ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَهُمْ. Clearly judge between us, so that the truth is distinguished from the falsehood. وَنَجِّنِي. And save me. وَمَن مَعِيَ. And whoever that is with me. مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Of the believers. Meaning save all of us believers. We learned that Nuh a.s. he made this dua after a very, very long time. After almost a millennium. And also, he made dua when? When they threatened him. When he felt that his life was in danger. Then he prayed to Allah against the people. We learn in Surah Nuh, ayah 26, that وَقَالَ نُوحٌ رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ دَيَّارًا. That Nuh said, my Lord, do not leave upon the earth from among the disbelievers even one inhabitant. Meaning finish all of them. We learn in Surah Hud, ayah 36, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Nuh alayhi salam, وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. It was revealed to Nuh alayhi salam that no one is going to believe now from your people except those people who have already believed. Now, no one is going to believe. So do not be distressed by what they have been doing. So what happened then? فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ. So we saved him. وَمَن مَعَهُ. And whoever was with him. Where? فِي الْفُلْكِ. In the ship that was al-mashhoon, that was laden. We saved all of them in the laden ship. Al-mashhoon is from the root letters Sheen, Ha, Noon. What's the structure? Maf'ul. So Noon is the lam kalima. So it's part of the root. Sheen, Ha, Noon. Shahn is to load a ship. To load a ship. With who? With passengers. As well as cargo. And mashhoon, maf'ul, one that is laden. One that is fully laden. Filled with people. Filled with, obviously this ship was filled with animals as well as birds to its maximum. So they were saved in what? In al-fulk al-mashhoon. ثُمَّ أَغْرَقْنَا. Then we drowned. بَعْدُ الْبَاقِينَ. Thereafter, the remaining ones. Ba'du, meaning after saving the believers who was drowned, al-baqeen, the remaining ones, meaning those people who remained behind, who did not embark on the ship, who did not believe in Nuh alayhi salam. What happened to them? They were destroyed. How? That they were drowned. We learn in Surah Al-Ankabut, ayah 14 to 15, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فَلَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا 50 عَامًا فَأَخَذَهُمُ الطُّوفَانُ وَهُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. And we certainly sent Nuh alayhi salam to his people, and he remained among them 1,000 years minus 50. How long did he stay in them? 1,000 years minus 50. And the flood seized them while they were wrongdoers. فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَأَصْحَابَ السَّفِينَةِ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا آيَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. But we saved him and the companions of the ship, and we made it a sign for the worlds. In Surah As-Saffat, ayah 75 to 76, we learn, وَلَقَدْ نَادَانَا نُوحٌ فَلَنِعْمَ الْمُجِيبُونَ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ مِنَ الْكَرْبِ الْعَظِيمِ. And Nuh had certainly called us, and we are the best of responders. And we saved him and his family from the great affliction. What does the great affliction refer to? The flood. And also the opposition, the denial. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً. Indeed, in that is a sign. وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. But still, most of them are not to be believers. What is the lesson in this incident? What is the ayah that we learn from the story? That success is only with iman. Success is only with taqwa. Success is only with obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who were successful? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, what do we learn? That ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And at the end, what do we learn? وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So who are successful? Those who have iman, those who have taqwa, those who follow and obey the messengers. Ultimately, they're the ones who are successful. And if a person has everything of this world, everything, glory, wealth, high status, but if he does not have iman, if he does not have the fear of Allah, if he does not obey the messenger, can he be successful? He can never be successful. And on the other hand, if a person has nothing of this world, he is considered as ardaloon, but he believes in the messenger, he follows the messenger, he has the fear of Allah, then that person, is he successful? Yes, he is successful. So ultimately, the key to success is taqwa, iman, and ita'ah, obedience. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ. And indeed your Lord, لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. Surely He is the mighty and also the merciful. Because this incident also demonstrates the might of Allah in how He grasped the disbelievers, how He punished them, and in how He aided the believers. And it reflects His mercy as well. Towards who? Towards the believers. We listen to the recitation.
كذبت قوم